Hunter Biden's team and federal prosecutors are now scrambling to rework that plea deal that unraveled on Wednesday. Who saw that coming? Biden and his team walked into court thinking that everything would go smoothly. He was expected to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges for failing to pay more than $100,000 in taxes. Instead, he had to plead not guilty for the time being. And there's some sketches from him in court, and he looks as stunned as you think he'd be in that moment. NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber with us now. He's also an anchor at the Law and Crime Network. Jesse, unexpected, you say sloppy legal work. I mean, this was anything but routine yesterday.
What a mess. What a mess. I mean, there's one thing to say that deals blow up. It happens all the time. But for a deal to blow up at the 11th hour in court in front of a judge with such a high-profile case like this, it's baffling. It's baffling because there wasn't a meeting of the minds on two very important issues. Number one, and it was heavily reported yesterday, they didn't understand what was going to be encompassed in this deal. I can't imagine this was Hunter Biden's team saying, we're getting a fast one on the prosecutors here. We believe that this deal is going to cover me and give blanket immunity for any future charges that he may face, because clearly prosecutors said that's not the case at all. He's still being investigated. And you know, it's interesting because it was only a few weeks ago when we heard the statement from the attorney's office saying that this investigation was ongoing. A part of us thought, well, is that just pro forma? Are they really investigating him? No, they're still investigating him and may bring future charges. And then this separate issue, which was articulated by the judge, you have Hunter Biden pleading guilty to these 2 misdemeanor tax charges, and then separately this diversion program where he has to follow these certain conditions in order for the gun charge to be dismissed. Can you package that together? Can the judge be the one who decides whether or not he broke the conditions and if he should be charged? That's a substantial legal question, and you would think that both sides would have worked this out and had the case law to support it. Clearly not.
No, clearly not. So now they're going to deep dive into case law and try to make their case to the judge. Do they do that in concession with each other, in accordance with each other? They do it separately before they meet with the judge? I mean, how does this work?
Okay, so when I'm reading this, it seems to me that both sides want this agreement to happen. Right. So I imagine they're going to work together on this. And I see one of 2 possibilities. One, they can find case law to support that a judge, like the judge in this case, can determine in a diversion program whether or not the person violated the conditions or will violate the conditions of that diversion program, and if the judge can actually impose charges. If they can't find any case law to support that, then what I imagine is going to be, this is going to go back into the ball of the prosecutors, which is normally what we see. Prosecutors are the ones who determine whether or not a defendant violated their conditions and if they should be charged. Now, we remember from what would happen yesterday in court, prosecutors said, look, we don't want that back in our court because it looks a little bit like a political decision. We don't want people to see this as we're deciding to charge Hunter Biden. We want to give it to the judge. Judge said, I really shouldn't be in charge of that. I think they're going to figure this out one way or another. I can't see this deal blowing up. The bigger issue was whether or not Hunter Biden was going to agree to something where he didn't have blanket immunity. It appears he's going to agree to that right now because maybe he'll worry about future charges at a later date.
I mean, I just wanted to be in that courtroom when they say, how do you plead? And is he looking at his attorneys going, what now? Not guilty? Right?
Yeah. I mean, what so right now, right now he had to plead not guilty till they figure out what to do. I would have loved to see his reaction when he thought that this agreement basically covered him for the future, and it didn't. How the 2 sides didn't understand that and didn't come to an agreement on that. There's paperwork, there's negotiations. The fact that they didn't understand that, again, just shocking to me.
It was to me, too. I was flipping between the UFO hearing and the developments on this, and I did a double take when I saw on the screen deal falling apart. I went, wait, what?
Yeah.
How? Huh?
Because it usually doesn't happen. It usually doesn't happen. Yeah.
Anything but routine. All right, Jesse, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.